It was short last 3 weeks, so I made myself some notes. I'm not used to read my presentations, but today I will give a special pleasure to myself that I will use my notes to express myself easily and in English, of course. You can recognize the tranquility of the area, the dwelling area, Mostec, near Mostec Lake. This is one of prime time public spaces in Ljubljana, connected to the water. This is one of the places where people feel comfortable, where people come to play, where model makers come to make their models and test them in the water, where people feed animals, when people spend their afternoons, where there is a training session for runners and they stretch here. So many various uses of this public space. And in the beginning I will talk maybe a bit more about public spaces. Although I'm not an expert, I believe some of you here could be much bigger and better at this area. My expertise is actually water supply and everything connected to the municipal infrastructure. This is my expertise, these were my studies. But lately, of course, I work in Luz also on the public infrastructure, spatial planning issues. So more or less, one way or another, we always come upon or cross the public space and its connection with infrastructure. As far as I can remember, I was connected to water. This is the road to Rožnik Hill. I was living 200 meters away. This was my everyday route, either alone or with friends, sometimes also with parents. And this is a small creek which has just a small amount of water usually, but this is the amount of water when there's 2 days of rain on the western part of Ljubljana. And this bridge here will have to go down because with the expansion and increasing of the weather conditions, where the total amount of rain is actually not getting higher, but I don't have the word. The intensity of the rain is much bigger, and the rain showers last longer. So this is now a bigger problem than it was before, although the total amount of water is more or less the same. My early memories were connected to flooding. I lived 200 meters away. Until 1974, we had floods in our basement twice a year. And it was fun though. Me and my brother, we took a boat and we were paddling around in the basement. But then the worst part came when we had to clean all the sewage system and everything around the house because water brought in so many different things. And most of those things came actually from the public places itself, because that's where this water was actually running. Whatever there was, our main concern always was to be totally aware of what the water is doing, how the water is reacting, what is the next step for the water. So we, as kids, already knew that we have to predict the improbability of water, that we have to be prepared, that we have to know more about it, because we have to be aware and alert of all the things that can come here. Of course, when all the ditches and channels and the flooding went away, we had much fun with the water itself. My first payment got from cleaning these greens in between those plates. And today, I still don't know, was it only my father paying me, or it was really the public company for water supply. From then on, water was, of course, all the time my companion. I sort of finished as a civil engineer, although some say because of me talking so much, I should definitely do something that would not be connected only with technology. When I'm thinking about water, is always my personal experience with it. Water is much more than just a basic need. What we need to drink, what we need to wash. It's basic a human right. It's the human right that nobody can take away from us. So it's linked to fundamental human rights regarding right to life, to food, and to health. Water is essential and central to life. However, it is usually perceived not as a luxury, but the luxury it is. We are not aware of how lucky we are that we have this luxury. And there is a need, I guess, in this society to regain some respect and better attitude towards water. Our esteem for the water has fallen down. Water was always protected, celebrated. It had mysterious ways. Today, we run the risk of becoming a more consumer product. About the importance of water in the cities. Water supply is the one thing that I'm usually referring to when the first task of water is in the city. But it is an important issue to me. Of course, I'm an engineer, and from the engineering point of view, this is essential part of the technology. But water sources, wells, pumping, pressure, and everything, this is just technology. You learn it in school, you get experience, and you are an expert in the field. What I want to talk about and what I want to go in is to skip the engineering part, because I'm much more interested in other sensations that water provides and water can do, the functions and appearance in the city, those functions that fulfill our mental and spiritual needs and our needs and fascinations outside of our homes. Because where we interact with the rest of the world, it's in public space. Public spaces are places where people can be sociable, festive, and they are the essence of urbanity. Without such spaces, cities, towns, and villages would be just accumulation of buildings with no deliberate opportunities for casual encounters, positive interactions, all that us humans, makes us humans. Public space should be a place for interaction and of many interactions, uses, activities, a sociable place, easily accessed, linked, pleasant, and comfortable to be. By being in the public place, you should feel enriched, wanting to come back. There are many elements that have to be met to make a public space great. And Henry Shefto believes successful public spaces share some common elements in 4 different categories. One is physical, the other is geographical, the third is managerial, and the last is psychological and sensual. The key elements in the picture are sociability, uses, activities, access and linkage, and comfort and image. Regarding physical elements that we need to have and to take care of in the public space, it's about sitting spaces, that the place is adaptable for different uses and overtime use, that it's more or less proportioned but not very symmetrical, that it has a variety and intriguing details. That's where I think water comes in for the first time in in my presentation in the water space. It shouldn't be monolithic. The public space and water is a perfect playground and the perfect origin to do something intriguing, something in detail. Carefully considered horizontal surface is again one of the things that we need to take care when we are talking about water, because water can be in a vertical position, it can be in a horizontal position. So in public space, both are available. If I go to geographical elements, location, which should be reasonably central, either in the neighborhood or in the center of the city, is at convergence of routes that people use. And of course, location is in a way connected to the water. If water is genius loci, is at the place somewhere. New public spaces are used to attempt to regenerate downtowns, problematic areas, but the immediate surroundings are those perceived in the place. Managerial elements, diversity of use, promotion of relaxed culture, inclusiveness, animation are the elements, but I won't be talking about them. The fourth part are psychological and sensual elements. That's where I think is the best part for water to come into the public space. Individuality in the uniqueness is one of the parts when you see that distinctive character of the public space is, and water elements can add a lot to that. Comfortable microclimate, another part. With the water, we have much better conditions than without it. Visual satisfaction of the area regarding the water elements, the tranquility or the energy in it, it has a different impact. And of course, incorporation of natural elements, one of them is water, is essential to have these sensual elements in the city. My dear friend Maya, who's sitting in the third row there, said the other day, if green open spaces are good, waterfront open spaces are gold, are the essence that we are looking for, are the thing that we try to conceive. Water is special, it's sort of original, eternal source, it's natural element. It's pleasant, wonderful, playful, full of life, adventurous, unpredictable. It challenges our senses. It is precious in public space and it enhances the experience, adds extra feel comfort and function. Water comes in different states, liquid, gas, as mist and steam, solid, snow, ice. We respond to water with all of our senses, and water is one of the few substances that we can experience with all of our senses. But the water is not unconditioned. It is defined by location, by the presence of rivers, lakes, existing water elements. And we have to be aware that because of the essence of water, people and users of the public space sometimes have little power to initiate water elements in public spaces. Water elements are subject to physical implementation that includes substantial resources, are less flexible in terms of quick responses, changing needs and everything. I think in the next presentation we'll hear something about how small and what small steps we can do to overcome this problem that I was talking about at the moment. Small steps, particular issues, small things, and small steps also lead to great things. So water in public space, in my opinion, has to be planned with two major principles of participation and implementation. One is bottom up, from the bottom, from the user up. sort of user-friendly, but of course it has its own things to do. The second thing is cooperation and collaboration. Without it, no public space can be a good place, either with water or without water. Doesn't really matter. I believe the quality of public space must evolve from interests, needs, and so on, of people, their life experience and expectations. I believe the quality of the public space should be evaluated mainly by the intensity and quality of the social relations, identification, integration, mixture of groups and behaviors that this public space is able to produce. When dealing with water in public space, I'm envisioning two issues. One is make water visible and accessible. A lot of problems in perception of people are there because of water not being visible all the time. Because we have the underground water, we have all the pipelines, we have all the technology, everything is buried down. We don't see anything of it. We don't know how it operates. We don't see what is the backstory, what is behind the scenes of this, so we can have a not so good relation with the issue. The second thing is that I believe water should establish relation, contact, interaction with the people and users who are in the public space where water elements are present. So I think that due to the nature of the water, there is no need to be shy about it. Water should be present in its full glory, in its full potential. If it needs to be evolved from the bottom up, there shouldn't be a problem, because doing it from the bottom up should provide us with a definitive and conclusive reaction from the users that they are actually the ones who are actually using it. The first thing that I was talking to guys from Mao when they started doing the project for public space in BNL was about bottles and everything about the bottles. You read what Evian means backwards. So I don't think that's the issue at all, because I think we are way beyond the question of waters or bottles or non-bottles. Of course, non-bottles. What did you think? What did you expect? So it's tap water that we are after. It's the water that originates from the underground or from rain. It is produced for the people, by the people, municipality, and I believe that there is not a big problem using tap water. In Ljubljana, we have excellent tap water, so there's no excuse, sort of, not to use it. I was lucky to take my family, especially my wife. I'm not home that often because of the work. To Rome, we went to see the Colosseum. And Colosseum is not just a place when in the arena gladiators and animals and everybody were fighting. It was a place where you could spend the whole day. It was sort of a picnic. There are people baking stuff here. And of course, because of the everyday life going on inside the Colosseum, there had to be water. Otherwise, that wouldn't be possible. So the Colosseum had 3 springs of public water when everybody could reach it. It was tap water, of course, coming from aqueducts and so on. This is the sign that Italian providers put on, and this is the idea of how to do it inside Colosseum. I believe that there should be always, when we have something connected to tap water, a story behind. I don't think that's just a thing that, okay, let's put something on. You saw Italians do it. And think it doesn't matter. It does matter. It has to tell you a story. It has to be special. It has to make you come back again. It has to make you wonder. It has to make you think about it, try to find more. And in Ljubljana, we have a web page application. I guess many of you are familiar with it. There are 19 drinking fountains in Ljubljana. And of course, you can check them out. No problem. But this is the water system in Ljubljana. And this water system, of course, is capable and available to have very, very much more than 19 drinking fountains in Ljubljana. And yes, we do have a good tap water, so that shouldn't be a problem. So if we have put an effort to see if this can be somehow done better, I think it's the obligation of all of us to think about it. Water has a different means. This is one of the beautiful arrangements in Bordeaux. Now I hope the technology will work. Otherwise, somebody will have to help me. Okay. This is a water mirror in Bordeaux, where you can see kids are paddling, jumping around. This is mist. You can get refreshment. You can get lost in the fog. So actually, what we see here is the idea of having a public place that responds to all the needs of a modern man, a modern woman, kid, whoever. In this particular place, you will find wakeboarders. In this particular place, you will find tango dancers. In this particular place, you will find the happy song by Pharrell Williams singers. This is everything happening in this place. This is an excellent object for this. This is a project that was done by young colleagues in Luz, in Celje. The city center of Celje was destined to get a better public space, and in every there are 5 squares to be organized, and in all those 5 places there are water elements as a normal and substantial part of it. This is a water element with a fountain and water going down. This is the original fountain, a drinking one. This is a new fountain. This is a water wall at the back. We sure hope and believe that the city of Celje will have the strength and ability to fulfill what was designed in the plans. The first phase was already finished. I'll show, I think I have some of the pictures somewhere else. This is the second sense, the state of water we have, and it's mist. Very small refreshing particles of water. This is American installation by Ned Kahn, when it ends with a beautiful rainbow. This is in Paris, like in Plage. And everybody's joyful, playful, and this is the major part of it. This is a project done by Urška Kranz and her colleagues in Krka Canyon, where you reach the end of the road. There's nothing else you can do there. You have to return back. So the question is, what experience do we have then if we are blocked, if we cannot go on along the river that we maybe thought will go all the time? There's a system proposed with solar panels and electricity that the mist arrangement would create beautiful rainbow. So you will get a special experience at the end of the road. And yes, you did find the treasure. This is already finished project in Kran as well. And important is this part above the Kokra River. This used to be an old tower, guarding tower, that due to erosion and bad conditions fell into the river and is not there anymore. Now we have a sensation that's connected to history. So we combine the natural element of the water with the sense that we get from the height over there. At the other part of the area, there are of course some waters at the exact spots as they were many years ago, or some public spaces that were used many years ago. So we have a perfect combination of water, which is actually an element of connections between our ancestors and us now. This is Toronto, Ontario, Science Center. I guess many of you are musicians here. I am myself a little bit. So this is a musical instrument. It's a hydrophone. Let me use technology again. Okay. Okay, you got the picture. Of course, afterwards we can play it because I brought my own speakers with me, No worries. How this instrument works actually, these are the pipes that are connected to this original water tube. When you have holes, when you close the hole, there's a pressure rising inside, and this bigger pressure gives us a different sound for every hole that we use. So to me, this is something I believe that I would play all along, and this is another playful experiment for me that is a perfect fit for the public space and for the use in the public space. This is one of the projects that was done as a part of Museum of Living Karst near Lipica. This is the border between Slovenia and Italy. This is a good sign of collaboration between two bordering countries. And there's an old well completely at the end, at the edge of the area, far away from everything else, but a special effort was made to make this a part of the experience that you have while walking around in the Museum of Living Karst, the Museum of the Karst that's in situ. The third part is the water extremes. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing wrong with the water. It's about rainwater, it's about flooding a little bit. This is the beautiful picture of Ljubljana More, when we had the first session in February in this particular home, the castle. It was just a few days after the big ice storm and floods in Ljubljana. So I believe a lot of our guests that were here from other countries really got a notion of how wild and beautiful Slovenia is. this is one of the projects, again, by young colleagues for the industrial zone in Želodnik near Domžale, where the original site is a pond with water, standing water in, a little sort of pond where amphibian animals live, and a little creek that goes there. This area is fit for industrial zone. It's on the crossroads of the road, so it's perfect situated for everybody involved in that. And the idea was to recreate, although the industrial zone, a public space that would have three sensations combined together. One is the amphibians, the other is nature and water, and the third are humans that will work here. All the water from the houses is put together to fill in this area. There's a original stream going through, so there's always fresh water inside. And these little ponds in here are also the basins for rainwater when there's bigger rain or the duration of rain is bigger. Sort of the same thing was done in Rotterdam in Waterplan 2. This is an initiative that was invited by the city of Rotterdam because of the knowledge that there's a sewage system that is so overcrowded, so full when big rain is coming that they cannot provide and serve the purpose. So the company, the Urbanisten, made a proposal to the city of Rotterdam about possible solutions, either with basins, underground basins, above ground basins, the elastic bags, or some different technical solutions, or some areas when water can hop in, even sponges who suck up water was the idea. There was a pilot case for the playground, which is in 6 different things. If there's a regular rainfall, only a small portion of the playground is filled with water. When there's 20 to 30 times a year, that means twice a month, a much bigger rain, there's a water path going around. When there's even more water, that means maybe once a month, a bigger portion, and again bigger portion, and so on. The last one is approximately 90 centimeters of covered area, 1,600 cubic meters of retention area for the water, and this water is, before it enters in here, cleaned in this southern part. This is how it looks. It's a playground for the kids. They do have some issues regarding the safety, but this is something that they're addressing at the moment. This was the proposal that was done by the Urbanisten. One of the solutions for the square bent hemp line is already finished. This is again a solution where all interested parties, students, nursing home, school, and bypassers and people who live around stood together, said what they want to do, and their major approach was, we want to have the water visible. We want to see the water running. We want to see the water. We want to see the flow of the water. We want to see the path of the water. The third thing, these are the floods. The floods that I was talking about were right here when I was a kid. Now, I won't go into the details because I don't think this is the place or the issue. But you see, Ljubljana has a good portion of flooded area, and all the problems we had so far were there. This is one of the solutions regarding rainwater recharge. This is in northern part of Rauškova Street, close to the highway. Just across the highway, there's the biggest water plant in Ljubljana, Kleče. And due to popular demand by investors, they want to build 3 bigger houses in the part next to Rauškova Street. The proposal here was that we remain the other part of the area, especially for the rainwater in charge, to put all the water that will fall into this ground that will be paved, to recharge it in here, and at the meantime create a public space that will work and connect with the PST, which is going right here at the moment. This is one of the things that are used in many different cities all around the world. I must say that in Slovenia we are not very good at it. Actually, it's just a normal basin using only natural elements to postpone the outtake, the discharge of the rainwater. These are the possible solutions in a horizontal way. This is a thing in Denmark. This is in Freiburg. And these little channels make their way sometimes with water, sometimes without the water. But it is a clear path. It is a clear connection to the water itself. Here in Freiburg, you can even use this water to move some heavier objects, because this is sort of wakeboarding in the channel. This is a new thing. This picture is from Australia, where due to problems in the tunnel, they had all sorts of difficulties with traffic lights, and they decided once and for all to stop this. So they put a big pipe on the top of the tunnel. Whenever there's a problem, the water goes down and the projection of the stop sign is there. Trust me, no one can miss this one. I'm going a bit to the personal level, but I'm not wasting much of your time. I have a strong attitude towards water. This is the statement I had for the BO50, because I strongly believe that the connection is here. We had a wheel 5,000 years ago. It was preserved only because of the water. If there was no water in the moor, this wheel wouldn't happen. There is a Roman well in the parking place in Kongresni Trg, which you cannot see because it's down there and it's covered with plastic. It's 1,900 years old. So I guess everything's connected. At the time, that well was outside the edge of Emona. So that was actually not in the city, but outside of the city. So this tells us again, now this is in the center of the city. I guess there's a connection. To me, that's the connection. BO50 came to me and we were discussing it, how to have the group of 10 individuals, designers, landscape architects, thinkers, think about public water, about public space, what to do, when to do it, how to do it. We were thinking about discussing about the problems, overcoming prejudice, promote all the ideas that emerge and are good, because any idea putting water in the public space, to me, is a good idea. Implementation can be tricky, but the idea is good. And of course, explore new solutions to include water in the public space. We had a kickoff meeting in Ljubljana in February, and the water over there was really streaming. We were talking about rain, we were talking about the river's surface water, we were talking about underground water. 2 months later, 3 weeks ago, we had a meeting again in Ljubljana. regarding, and everybody had to have their own ideas and responses to the challenge of public water. And we have some ideas. One of them is harvesting and storing and using rainwater. Harvesting rainwater means that we collect it above ground level. Because once, when it's on the ground level, it's gone. It goes into the ditch, it gets dirty. So if we keep the momentum up, there's a lot of usage for this rainwater. We were in February around in Ljubljana, and all the fountains were covered, some of them nice with a little hat, some of them like just with wood, hard wood. So of course, all year round fountain is the idea, and already one of the girls made some presumptions about it. Growing things with water is a thing all over the world. I won't go into the details here. Water in public spaces and the prices of water in public spaces is the issue for one of the participants. One of the participants feels very strongly connected and going totally from the bottom up. And there are some taboos involved. I won't talk about this now. Some are thinking that it's too easy to get water, so you have to work hard to get the water. You have to have a companion, a collaborator, and with him you will be able to reach the water. So a group effort should be done in there. And we have another guy who is thinking about the surface water, but then asking himself, how could I recreate this surface water flow underground? Is the underground also a space that we can go in? These are some ideas that were involved in this area. This is the water fountain that actually works all year around. This is fresh water. This is harvesting water, and also, of course, using sound while harvesting it. These are the two things that I decided to show you. This was the last meeting we had in April. Two colleagues, one from Australia, the other from Brussels. Others were here in Ljubljana, and the meeting was fine, and the collaboration was on. As I said, I will finish very personal. We decided to have two group things with the group that I'm leading, or I'm co-mentor. One is that we'll have each one of us a glass of water every day. The other was that we'll have a weekly routine calling Embracing the Water, and somebody will do something with it. So I wrote a poem. I'm not a poet, but I said, okay, let's give it a try. So I'll read it up for you. I was talking to my daughter, it's true I have a few, about a group called Public Water that occupied me last few days in so many interesting ways. So I took her on the hill to see the size of water spill and to watch the rivers flow that in coming days will surely grow. I told her all about the fountain, covered looks like a little mountain, and about a great new square with no water anywhere. We went to find a Roman well. It's hidden well, this I can tell. And in so many other cases, we found new cool and awesome places. So we walked around the city and everything was really pretty. Except while walking down the street, I lost her where three bridges meet. And this is a true story. When we were going around with the group, we lost two of them in the three bridges. Damn, I thought I need a drink, a time to stop, a time to think. And while having me a glass of water in the middle of the square, I spot her. Enjoying that I had her found, I spilled some water on the ground. By this, I left a water trace in Ljubljana's public space. Thank you.